Hello, welcome to Tech presented by KaiZen, where we will explore common cleaning questions and answers. Let's get started. I would like to introduce KaiZen's own Sean Barney.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to this session of Tech to Tech, where we'll be covering how temperature affects your parts cleaning process. And this will be on the metal finishing side of things. So we'll jump right into the types of parts cleaning equipment that we use. So you have, styles can vary from place to place, technique and process. So you have some dip tanks, you have ultrasonic cleaners, you have vapor degreasers, vacuum degreasers. These are becoming very popular in the market for sure, as it's a very clean and green way to do your process. You also have your inline conveyor washers, rotary tumblers, cabinet sprayers, and there's much more types of equipment to this. These are probably the most popular styles in it. Note that all these types of cleaning systems will offer different temperature ranges. Know your equipment and consider your manufacturing process and the steps that you use. This will help determine the operating parameters that you would set going forward with your temperatures. You also have your types of cleaning chemistries, which might have some restrictions with the temperatures. So you have solvents, you have aqueous based, you have modified alcohols and hydrocarbons. Your solvents tend to be in a metal container. They may have a lower boiling point and will need special storage. You don't want to leave the lid off of these, as it's room temp, you'll actually do evaporative loss and whatnot. With the aqueous based, usually going to be in a plastic container. These are more stable for your storage, but may require higher temperatures for cleaning. And the modified alcohols and hydrocarbons are going to have challenges of both worlds, positive and negative, with the solvents and aqueous based. So what determines the temperature? There's many things over the next couple of slides that we're going to cover here that will affect that temperature process. Solubility of soils to be removed. Low temp may impede the cleanliness level, especially lubes, coolants, oils. Those are all going to have the splitting ability. So when you get to those lower temps, they tend to separate. Higher temps, they'll tend to mix more. Often wax-based soils require temperature above their softening point. Usually that's around 160 degrees. With that, you would have your CP products, your corrosion prevention, or your RP products, rust prevention products are wax-based. To remove those before maybe painting or whatnot, you would have to get those cleaned off at a higher temperature. Chemical exposure time is typically reduced at higher temperatures and or mechanical agitation. So if you're trying to get more throughput on a conveyor wash or a cabinet sprayer, you might increase the temperature to clean that soils off faster. Um, or you might increase that mechanical agitation pressures up to as well to increase that throughput time. Substrate discoloring. So you'll see on the left picture here, this is aluminum before and aluminum after. So you especially want to be watching out for, copper, your aluminum, your brass at high heat. Tends to turn them colors or oxidizes them. That is a big process. Foam creation. So lower temperatures tend to have issues with foaming on chemistries. So when you're spraying um, these defoamers or has some kind of agitation, lower temperatures, usually below 120, 130 degrees, you'll have this foaming issues because the foamers are not active yet. So you want them to get them active above 130 degrees, 140. You're in a sweet spot there and above for not to have foaming issues due to temperature. Soil removal. Uh, this is where you get your oils based. They split better at a lower temperature. It doesn't have that uh, mixing ability as they start to separate, whether you use a mechanical style scoop and get this out, or you have a coalescer, which is more of an automatic style to remove those soils to make your chemistry last longer. High temperatures increase water and chemistry evaporative loss. usage, and exhaust requirements. So as you increase the temperature of that, let's just say on a cabinet sprayer, and every time you open that door, some of the steam comes out due to higher temperatures. You're going to have some chemistry that goes with that too. And the more you do that, the more you're going to lose on your water side and your chemistry side. You might be in a facility that has not high ceilings with adequate ventilation, so you might have to add an exhaust hood onto that too as well. Um, Excessive heat will increase your energy usage, affects the operational cost, of course, as you increase that dwell time, and you want that temperature to go hotter. Of course, you're using more energy with it, and you get a little less green. You want to watch your temperature settings to affect cost-wise with your heaters. Operational handling after cleaning, there may be a time delay to let it cool down, required for the next process or packaging. So let's say that you increase the temperature on that wash, and you get it through that cabinet sprayer a little faster, or that conveyor washer a little faster, but it's so hot when it comes out, it needs a cool down time. So you might have saved 2 or 3 minutes on that side, but when you get it out, the operator can't pick it up and use it or move it to the next area. That might add more time there. So watch how one process, the temperature might affect the next. Chemical odors often are more pungent at higher temperatures, which can lead to complaints about the smell of a cleaning chemistry. Note that it's not always the cleaning chemistry. It could be the coolant, the oils, the soil that you're cleaning off that could create that smell at a higher temperature too as well. So it's more than just the chemistry, it could be the soil as well. Most metals are susceptible to corrosion, such as steel, which will corrode faster at higher temperatures. Lower temperatures will help stop that flash corrosion. This is where you might introduce a CP product or RP, corrosion prevention or rust prevention product into the chemistry to fix that issue. So what's the right temperature? There's a lot of things to consider when you're going through that, not only what we just discussed, but it's just knowing your soil. What are you cleaning off? Are you cleaning off just some debris, some dirt, or oils, or are you cleaning off baked on carbon that will require the higher temperature to really separate it from the engine block and clean it properly? What are the recommendations for the cleaning chemistries? Know that your temperatures, your concentrations, your fill levels, change out cycle, all the stuff like that is going to affect your temperatures and how long you can keep that back life. Machine temperature range. So higher temperatures are usually due to because you don't have the mechanical agitation. Let's say it's just a dip tank and whatnot, move to the next one. Those tend to have higher temperatures because you don't have any kind of spray bars or ultrasonics to help with some kind of mechanical agitation. And of course, testing. Testing is going to be your best way to figure out all your answers that you're looking for. Um, and you want that solution, which is testing. In conclusion, always partner with your chemistry manufacturer as there are a lot of variables involved in the process. They can work hand in hand with you to get this process in place and give you a rough area and parameter to start at least with the chemistry. Number two, partner with your machine manufacturer to know its limits of what the machine is capable of, meaning that you could have a heater that doesn't get hot enough or it's big enough. You might need to add another one or upgrade the heater to get where you want to be for the temperature wise. Number three, you may need to do multiple rounds of testing to get your processes in place. And that's completely fine. That's completely normal. It's good to have it on the lower limit side of testing to make sure that you know what it is like when it's not clean, and especially to know on the opposite end of that, when it's too hot, when you might start to have that corrosion or discoloring, you know that you don't want to be in those parameters. Maybe you can set up some alarms on the machine and find that sweet spot. So multiple rounds of testing is completely normal. Four, scrap testing, rejects, defects. These are all good parts to do testing on. Now, there's two different categories with that. So you can have good examples of scraps defects. Can be like bad threads, drilled holes, maybe in the wrong location, maybe the parts the wrong shape. Those are all good examples of scraps and defects. Bad examples that you don't want to use Something would be either cracked, broken, burned, or already cleaned. So if it was already cracked or broken, you wouldn't know if your process or your temperature affected that or caused that. Burned or that discoloration or corrosion, oxidation, uh, you want to know that before it goes in. You want that you have a good part. Already cleaned, so the cleaning chemistry, maybe cleaned it with a different chemistry. You want to make sure that there's not a reaction between the old chemistry, maybe it wasn't rinsed off enough before you reused it again and did some testing on it. So, some frequently asked questions on this topic. Once the parts have been damaged due to heat, can they be reversed? Short answer is no. Usually, once they're already damaged, you can't reverse that process. They usually throw it away and start over again. Most of the times, when you try to save a part and you try and wash and get this oxidation off, it's more money and more time than the part is worth, and you've spent more money than just throwing it away and starting over again. Question two: does foaming of the chemistry render it unusable? No. There's two different categories with that, I would say. So if you have foaming in the tank and it's not overflowing, fix your foaming issue, whether it's temperature or concentration, and you should be fine. If you're foaming over the bath and it's all over the floor and it's been doing it for a while, you might want to change that bath out because you don't know how much chemistry you lost and you don't know where you're at. Question three: will overheating the chemistry render it unusable? So overheating wise, I would say that you have two different scenarios with that, right? So if you over tempt it for a short amount of time and the alarm went off on the machine, you're fine. You should be able to keep using that chemistry as the machine usually has an auto shutdown. If you don't have that, higher temperatures can bake off some of the chemistry components, and you could have issues where we would recommend that if it's at a prolonged period of time for overheating, you want to replace that chemistry. Question four: is there an offsite testing that can be done so there's no downtime of the facility? Uh, Usually, yes, there is. You want to partner with your equipment manufacturer or your chemistry manufacturer. Those guys will either have some equipment in-house that they can help you out with on a small scale or the full size scale machine. Partner with that, and if that's not possible, they might be willing to do some on-site testing that is off operation hours. And with that, I'll hand it back over to William. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Thank you guys for watching this Tech to Tech session. If you would like to discuss this topic further or have any questions not answered in the session, please contact your local Kaizen regional manager or send an email to tech@kaizen.com, and we will have someone follow up with you as soon as possible. Do you want to have exclusive access to future content sent directly to your inbox, or do you know someone who would benefit from these sessions? If the answer is yes, just go to tech@kaizen.com and fill out the subscription form. And if you like this video, be sure to follow us on our social media platforms for more expert cleaning content.